Wikipedia is full of useful info, but some pages are just plain terrifying. Today, we're diving into the darkest corners of Wikipedia, where the facts are chilling, and the truth is stranger than fiction. Deep in the Himalayas lies Rupkund Lake, better known as Skeleton Lake. Every year, as the snow melts, hundreds of human bones emerge along its edge. At first, experts thought a single hailstorm in the 9th century caused the deaths. But later research revealed a darker truth: the remains came from 3 different groups, killed nearly 1,000 years apart. No one knows why they were there, or what really happened. Since the 19th century, over 240 aircraft have vanished without a trace. Some were civilian, others military, and in many cases, no wreckage was ever recovered. The most haunting of all? Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, with hundreds still unaccounted for. These aren't movie plots, they're real disappearances that remain unsolved to this day. Israel Keyes wasn't just a serial killer, he was a planner. He buried murder kits across the US, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. He confessed to multiple killings and said he preferred strangling his victims because it felt more personal. A true nightmare hiding in plain sight. June and Jennifer Gibbons were identical twins who spoke only to each other, in a secret language no one else understood. After committing a series of crimes, they were sent to a mental hospital, where they made a chilling pact: one would die so the other could live a normal life. Shortly after, Jennifer mysteriously died, and June went on, finally speaking to others, for the first time. Brian Schaefer, a medical student from Ohio, vanished without a trace in 2006 after a night out with friends. Security cameras caught him entering a bar, but never leaving. No witnesses, no clues, no answers. To this day, no one knows if he was the victim of foul play, or if he chose to disappear and start a new life. One moment he was there, then gone forever. Over 2,200 people boarded the Titanic in 1912, and more than 1,500 never made it out alive. Wikipedia has a chilling page that lists every name, who survived, who didn't, and what happened to those who lived through the disaster. It's not just history, it's a haunting reminder of how real tragedy can be. Rocktario called himself a prophet, but he was really the leader of a dangerous cult known as the Anthill Kids. In the 1980s, he ruled over about 40 followers, fathering over 20 children with 9 women. What started as spiritual guidance turned into brutal control. Punishments were horrifying, like having toes cut off by other members. In 1989, it all ended when he was arrested for the gruesome murder of one of his followers. This isn't a horror film, it's a real Wikipedia article. Helle Crafts, a 39-year-old flight attendant, vanished in 1986. Her husband, Richard, was caught after a private investigator uncovered his affair, and something far darker. Police found bone fragments, a tooth, and hair near a frozen lake, where Richard had been seen using a wood chipper. He was convicted of her murder, but was shockingly released in 2020 for good behavior. In 1952, 3 boys in West Virginia saw something crash from the sky. When they investigated, they found a towering creature with glowing orange eyes, clawed hands, and a spade-shaped head. It hissed, reeked of something foul, and the boys were sick for weeks after. To this day, no one knows what they really saw. The legend lives on, as the Flatwoods Monster. Georgi Dotsa led a rebellion, so his punishment was made into a brutal message. He was forced to sit on a burning iron throne, crowned with red-hot metal, and handed a heated scepter. Then, in front of him, his brother was cut into pieces, and Dotsa himself was eaten alive by starving men. A horrifying end for a man who dared to rise up. One of the most horrifying execution methods in history? Scaphism. Victims were trapped between 2 wooden boats, force-fed milk and honey, and completely smeared with it. Then, they were left under the burning sun, alive, as insects and vermin slowly ate them from the outside in. This ancient Persian torture was designed not just to kill, but to prolong suffering in the most terrifying way imaginable. Disneyland is known as the happiest place on Earth, but not every story has a fairy tale ending. Over the years, the resort has seen power failures, ride malfunctions, and even tragic deaths. While it's usually safe, a growing list of incidents and lawsuits reveals a darker side behind the magic. In parts of rural India, some believe a dog bite can cause something far stranger than rabies, puppy pregnancy syndrome. Victims claim they can feel puppies growing inside them, hear growls from their stomachs, and even start barking like dogs. Local witch doctors say they can cure it, with a ritual that helps the patient excrete the puppies. It sounds unbelievable, but for those who believe, it's terrifyingly real. In 1888, a man named George Lusk received a letter, its return address simply read "From Hell." Inside was half a human kidney, and a note claiming it was taken from a woman, cooked, and eaten. Signed in crude handwriting, it warned, "Catch me when you can, Mr. Lusk." Of the hundreds of letters tied to Jack the Ripper, this one might actually be real, making it one of the darkest pieces of true crime history. In 1951, the CIA launched Project Artichoke, a secret mind control program. They drugged and hypnotized people to see if they could be forced to commit assassinations. Some test subjects, including their own agents, were kept on LSD for weeks without knowing it. One was allegedly drugged for 77 days straight and left with total amnesia. This isn't science fiction, it's history. What happens millions of years from now? According to Wikipedia, scientists have mapped out a timeline of the far future, predicting everything from human extinction to the death of the sun. It's a chilling look at what could happen to Earth, the solar system, and the entire universe, long after we're gone. Move over, Annabelle, there's another haunted doll in town. His name is Robert, and he was given to a boy named Robert Otto as a birthday gift. Some say it came from his grandfather in Germany, others claim it was cursed by a Bahamian girl as revenge. Legend says Robert the doll can move on his own, and brings misfortune to anyone who disrespects him. Creepy, right? This is UVB 76, a Russian radio station that's been buzzing non-stop, 24/7, for decades. Sometimes the buzz is interrupted by strange Russian voices. Other times, pirate signals take over. No one knows who runs it. No one knows why it exists. And that mystery makes it even more disturbing. In 1948, a man was found dead on a beach in Adelaide, Australia. No ID. No clear cause of death. Just a few everyday items: gum, a bus ticket, matches, and a comb. Months later, a tiny scrap of paper was found in his pocket. It read, "Tamam shud," a Persian phrase meaning "it is over." To this day, no one knows who he was, or how he died. The Zodiac Killer struck fear across Northern California in the late 60s and 70s, taunting police with cryptic letters and chilling ciphers. He's officially linked to 6 victims, but many believe the true number is much higher. Despite decades of investigation, his identity remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries on Wikipedia and in real life. Imagine your muscles slowly turning to bone, locking your body in place. That's the reality for people with fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva, a rare condition where soft tissue transforms into bone over time. There's no cure. Movement fades. And eventually, the body becomes a living statue. It's one of the rarest and most terrifying conditions known to science. Imagine being fully awake, fully aware, but completely unable to move. That's the reality of locked-in syndrome, a rare condition where the entire body is paralyzed except for the eyes. Victims can't speak or move, yet their minds are fully conscious, trapped in silence, able to communicate only by blinking. Joyce Vincent died alone in her London apartment, and no one noticed for nearly 3 years. Her TV was still on, her bills were paid automatically, and her door stayed locked. By the time anyone checked, her body was nearly skeletal. A haunting reminder of how someone can disappear without anyone realizing they're gone. Imagine smiling so much, it makes you sick. Smile mask syndrome is a real psychological condition where forced, constant smiling leads to stress, physical pain, and even depression. First identified in Japan's service industry, it shows that behind some smiles, there's real suffering. In 2010, officials believed Sojin Kato was the oldest man in Tokyo until they found his mummified body in his bedroom. He had actually died back in 1978. His family kept it secret for over 30 years, just to keep collecting his pension checks. A disturbing reminder that sometimes, the truth hides in plain sight. It's called coffin birth, and it's as haunting as it sounds. After a pregnant woman dies, gases from decomposition can build up inside the body, pushing the fetus out after death. Though rare, this postmortem phenomenon is a real and unsettling reminder of what happens when biology and death collide. This isn't a ride you'd survive. The euthanasia coaster is a concept roller coaster designed to end the lives of its passengers, on purpose. Created by Lithuanian artist Julie Jonas Urbonas in 2010, it uses extreme drops in G-forces to cut off oxygen to the brain, causing a euphoric death through cerebral hypoxia. It's art, it's science, and it's deeply unsettling. In 1987, two men broke into an abandoned hospital in Goiânia, Brazil, and stole a machine, unaware it contained radioactive material. They cracked it open, and unknowingly unleashed one of the worst nuclear disasters in history. Hundreds were exposed. Some fell seriously ill. Others died. All because of one glowing, deadly mistake. This is the diving bell spider, the only spider that lives almost entirely underwater. It traps an air bubble on its body to breathe and only surfaces for food or fresh oxygen. But don't get too close, its bite is said to be excruciating, causing vomiting and swelling that can last over a week. In 1922, on a quiet Bavarian farm, 6 family members were brutally murdered with a pickaxe. But the most disturbing part? The killer stayed in the house for days, eating meals and living among the corpses. To this day, the Hinterkaifeck murders remain one of Germany's most horrifying unsolved crimes. In 1518, a woman named Frau Troffea began dancing uncontrollably in the streets of France, and didn't stop. Soon, hundreds joined her, unable to stop dancing for days. Some collapsed. Others died from exhaustion, strokes, or heart attacks. Known as the dancing plague, this terrifying event still has no clear explanation, only wild theories like poisoned bread, mass hysteria, or something darker. This is the Rat King, a rare and disturbing phenomenon where rats get their tails tangled together, trapped for life. The first known case was in 1564, the most recent? 2021, when 13 live rats were found knotted together in Estonia. They couldn't be freed, so scientists had to euthanize them. Real, unsettling, and 100% documented. Being buried alive, it's one of humanity's oldest and deepest fears. Throughout history, people have been accidentally buried after disasters, or even used it as a method of execution in war. And today? Some thrill-seekers, including escape artists and YouTubers like MrBeast, have dared to be buried alive, on purpose. Real or staged, this fear is very real, and it's far from ancient history. 9-year-old Asha Degree vanished in the middle of a stormy night, carrying only her book bag. She was last seen running into the woods along a highway, and then, nothing. A year later, her bag was found buried in a trash bag at a construction site. No other trace of her has ever been found. To this day, her disappearance remains a haunting mystery. The Wizard of Oz might look magical on screen, but behind the scenes, it was a nightmare. Judy Garland, just a teenager at the time, reportedly suffered abuse throughout filming. Other actors endured dangerous costumes, toxic makeup, and even near-death experiences. It's a classic film, with a dark and disturbing history. Blanche Monnier vanished without a trace, until 25 years later, when police found her locked in a dark, filthy room inside her mother's home. She was naked, emaciated, and surrounded by filth. Her crime? Wanting to marry a man her mother didn't approve of. Held captive for decades, Blanche's story is one of the most disturbing cases of cruelty hidden behind closed doors. In 1876, a small town in Kentucky experienced something truly bizarre. Meat fell from the sky. Yes, actual chunks of raw meat, raining down like a nightmare picnic. The cause? Still debated. One theory? A group of vultures may have vomited their meal mid-flight. Whatever the reason, it's gone down in history as the Kentucky meat shower. Some deaths are so bizarre, they sound made up, but they're real. From a man killed by a falling tortoise to someone being eaten alive by piranhas, this Wikipedia page lists the strangest passings in history. It goes all the way back to ancient times, and every entry is more unbelievable than the last. Space might look peaceful, but it's brutal on the human body. Without gravity, astronauts face muscle loss, bone deterioration, vision problems, and even a weaker immune system. The longer they stay in space, the more their bodies fall apart, one system at a time.